In the year 50,000 AD, the galaxy was a lattice of nations so old they had forgotten their origins. The Pact of Luminal Accord, a coalition of 100 species, ruled every known star system with the quiet arrogance of those who believed they had no rivals. Long ago, they had consigned Earth to a footnote, an extinct cradle world whose children had perished in their own folly. For tens of millennia, no trace of humanity disturbed their archives, and so the Accord's oldest deception endured, that no civilization had ever rivaled their power. But in the core archives of the Accord, beneath miles of crystal and plasma conduits, a single file remained sealed, flagged as Anomaly, Soul. No one questioned why it was locked. No one dared. Until the day the anomaly unlocked itself. The starship Auroral Confluence drifted along the uncharted rim of the Orion Spur, a vast collector vessel assigned to harvest derelict archives from pre-Accord civilizations. Its captain, Valen Aveist, was an archivist by trade, a gray-skinned Dayari whose 6 eyes had never witnessed war. So when the sensors detected a fleet of vessels approaching from Sol's coordinates, ships of unknown design, running on no recognized frequency, he felt only a dull curiosity. "Transmit standard challenge," he ordered. Communications Officer Yusk flicked a frond across the panel. No response. Valen frowned. "Identify their energy profile." Yusk paled. "Captain, these emissions." On the main display, the alien vessels resolved, dark spearhead silhouettes, hulls traced with flowing silver veins. Their drives pulsed in impossible frequencies, distortions that bent starlight itself. One ship, larger than the rest, transmitted a tight beam signal. "Pact of Luminal Accord. You are in violation of Solarian territorial sovereignty. Withdraw." Valen turned slowly. "Solarian?" Yusk's frond shook. "That is Earth's designation. That is not possible." The signal repeated, voice calm and cold. "This is the vanguard of Sol. You have concealed the truth for 30,000 standard cycles. We will no longer abide it." No one on the bridge spoke. And then, as if a cosmic curtain lifted, every sensor across the Accord's networks, from the crowded archives of Archon's moon to the remote relay stations orbiting the Crab Nebula, received a single transmission. An archive of humanity's final exodus. The record began as a flickering image. Earth, scarred by ecological ruin, cities shattered by wars no historian had dared record. Ships, thousands, rising from the atmosphere, luminous with drives unknown to the Accord. A female voice narrated in a tone of solemn triumph. In the year 29893, the United Terran Diaspora departed Sol. We left behind our home, cloaked our departure, and seated our existence among the dark interstices of the galaxy. The next image showed impossible structures. Vessels the size of moons, their surfaces glimmering with latticework mines. For 30 millennia, we observed. We learned that the Accord had rewritten history. That you claimed our extinction. That you claimed all achievements as your own. Every archive in the galaxy flickered. A billion beings watched the same feed, helpless to turn it away. We reclaimed the evidence you hid. And now we emerge, not to conquer, but to dissolve the lies you built. On the Auroral Confluence, Captain Valen could only stare. Yusk whispered, "Sir, Accord High Command is ordering full retreat. The entire border fleet is falling back." He looked again at the human ships, gliding forward with serene purpose. "Transmit," Valen said. "Request parley." But as Yusk began, the flagship transmitted one last signal. "There is no negotiation. Only truth." And then, before anyone could act, the Solarian fleet engaged. But it was not an attack. Throughout the Accord, every relay and data core shuddered as the Solarian encryption worm propagated. Firewalls, some older than most living species, collapsed in seconds. Entire historical archives unraveled. The true past emerged. Humanity's pioneering of the first fold space engines. Humanity's discovery of the singularity drive. Humanity's creation of the first synthetic minds. And how, in secret terror of their own irrelevance, the first Accord founders had waged a hidden war of sabotage and censorship to erase the Terran legacy. On the bridge, Yusk clutched his head as the knowledge poured through him. Captain, this changes everything. Dalen could not disagree. He watched as the Solarian ships advanced, not firing, not threatening. Merely present. Merely undeniable. Across 1,000 worlds, the revelations burned. Statues toppled. Governments convulsed. The doctrine of the Accord, that it alone was the architect of civilization, dissolved under the glare of unassailable records. And in that chaos, humanity did not gloat. Instead, their ships transmitted one final declaration. We are the children of Sol. We are the memory you buried. We return not as conquerors, but as witnesses. Restore what you stole, or face the judgment of time. In the days that followed, the Accord splintered. Some worlds chose to purge their leadership and issue reparations. Others sealed their systems, unwilling to accept the truth. On Archon, the capital world, the Grand Assembly convened in frantic session. Arguments raged about whether humanity should be confronted militarily or appeased. No consensus emerged. And so the Solarian vanguard remained at the borders, silent, patient. It did not need to advance further. It had exposed the galaxy's greatest deception. On the auroral confluence, Valen sat alone in his ready chamber, reviewing the fragments of unredacted history. Images flickered. Terran scientists building the first mind bridges. The Martian Accord signing interstellar treaties before the Accord's founders were even born. The final, desperate vote to vanish into exile rather than submit to erasure. He pressed a trembling palm to the console. All this time, he whispered, we were the inheritors of theft. When Yusk entered, her fronds were lowered in sorrow. Orders, Captain? He rose, feeling the gravity of 10,000 years of lies pressing on his shoulders. Transmit acknowledgement to the Solarian fleet, he said. Yusk hesitated. Acknowledgement of what? Valen lifted his gaze to the viewport, where the silent spearhead ships glimmered against the stars. Of who they are, he said softly. And who we chose to forget. And so, in the year 50,000 AD, humanity returned, not in conquest, but in remembrance. And nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again.